Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 of learning UI UX design using Figma. In the last class, we created a mobile app design that helped us to put Figma to test and also to see how Figma works. So today we are going to be digging deep into Figma by creating a real-world user application that showcases users' accounts, instructors' accounts, and we are going to also list courses for students' use. So let's get started. Now I'm going to create a new file quickly by going to File, New File. Then I'm going to click on Design File. Okay, so quickly I'm going to create a frame by going to the Tools section. Then I'm going to choose from the right sidebar the screen size that fits the design, which is a web application for now. And I'm going to choose the 1280 by 720 screen size. Okay, so I'm going to give this frame a name and I'm going to call it welcome. So I want to turn on the columns layout so it will guide us through the design. So come to the properties sidebar on the right and then click on layout settings, and then from the drop down choose columns. Now the column settings we are going to use here is 12 for count. Then we are going to set the margin to 69 and also the gutter to 16. So the gutter, which is 16, is the spacing between the columns. So the white spacing you can see between each column is 16. Then the margin is the white spacing on the left side and on the right side. Then the columns, which is 12, the count, which is 12, is the columns that you can see now. So I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to bring in all of the assets that we need to make this design. So I'll go to my desktop and then copy all of the images and logos that you can see now. Then I'll paste into Figma. Okay, so right now this is all that we need to make the design. So let me move all of this aside. So we will pick from each of the images and logos one after the other. Now the first one that we need is the background image that we want to use, which is this picture you can see right now. So I'll drag it over onto the frame and then I'm going to quickly resize to fit the frame. All right, so the next thing I want to do now is to create a rectangle that will cover this background image. So this rectangle will help us to reveal the background image just a little bit because we don't want it to be too pronounced. So over to the tool section to click the rectangle tool, then I'm going to draw the rectangle now. And the next thing I want to do is to also make sure that this rectangle has a transparency of 75%. And then I'm going to change the color of this rectangle. So to change the color, I'll drag the logo that we have over here. So I'll drag it up quickly so we can see easily. So now that I still have the rectangle selected, I'm going to pick this color. So I'll click the color box now, then click the color picker and then select the purple color we have here. So I'm going to quickly change the transparency one more time, okay, to set to 75%. And I'm going to also work on the blur properties of this rectangle background we have created so that we can put this picture away from user's view so it doesn't create any interference with using the website. So now go to effect properties, click on effect, then the drop shadow you can see now is the default. So click on it and then you can choose background blur. So now that we have the background blur, click on the icon on the left to increase the background blur. So I'm going to increase it to something very high so we don't see the picture very clearly. So maybe it's 65. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to quickly write the text for this frame that we have now. So I'll go to the tool section, then click to write the text. Now I'm going to write welcome to Infinity Media Academy. Okay, so I'll hit escape on the keyboard, and I'm going to change the text properties for this text that I've created. So on the right side, you can see the property which is under the text section. So I'll change the font type to a custom font I have installed in my system, and then I'm going to change the font weight to black, and I'm going to increase the font size to about 52. Okay, so I'm going to quickly resize the text now to make sure it fits within the inner 8 columns here. So I'll have 2 columns on the right and 2 columns on the left. So, all right, now I'm going to center the text. Then I'm going to change the line spacing to about 48. Okay. All right, now the next thing I want to do is to also create the box where users will be able to click to go to courses or to view students or instructors. So now I'll click the rectangle tool, then draw the box over here and make sure that it is within the 2 columns that I have now. Okay. So I'll quickly transform this to a stroke now by going to the properties sidebar. Then I'll turn off the fill color for the rectangle, and then I'm going to add a stroke. So I'll change the stroke color to white, and then I'm going to change the stroke settings from the options you can see here, and then I'm going to change it to dash and also increase the gap between the dash. Okay, so let me increase the stroke width to about 3. And then I'm going to add corner radius. Okay, so now that I have all of this set, let me bring in the icons to use within the boxes. So I'm going to select these 3 icons, then I'll drag into Figma. Okay, so these are the 3 icons we are going to be making use of. So the first icon I want to use is for the courses. So I'm going to bring it here, and I'll try to increase the size a little bit by pressing shift on the keyboard, then I'll click and drag. Okay, so from the properties sidebar, I'm going to change the color to white. Okay, so I'll write a title for this box by selecting the text tool, then I'll click to type the name of the box. So I'll write courses. Okay, so I'll press escape on the keyboard, and then I'm going to change the font type to a system installed font, and then I'll change the size to about 16 or 18. Okay, and I'm going to change the weight to bold. Okay, all right, so let me quickly reposition. All right, now the next thing I also want to do is to duplicate this layer and then replace the icon and then change the text also. So I'll select the text, the icon, and the stroke background I have created, and then go to edit and duplicate. So I'll press shift and then right arrow key on the keyboard to place on the other 2 columns. All right, so I'm going to make sure it is well aligned now. All right, so now quickly I'm going to change this text to instructors. Okay, and I'm going to change the icon to this icon I have over here. So I'll try to align the icon first. Click to drag and make sure it's aligned on the right side too. Then I'm going to place over the icon I already have. Then I'll click to remove the other icon. Now I'm going to change the color of this icon to white. Okay. So I'll do the same thing for the instructors box by duplicating the layer. So let me zoom in to make sure it is aligned. Okay. So I'll change the text also to students. And I'm going to replace the icon with the icon I have over here. So I'm going to position to make sure it is well aligned. Then I'll click on one of the points to also make sure it is aligned on the other side. Okay. I'll place over the instructor's icon to align and then remove the instructor's icon. Okay, so I'll change this icon now to white. All right. So now that we have these three icons, I'm going to position them properly. So I'll select all and then position properly on the frame. Okay. All right, so the next thing I also want to do is to add another text below the text we already have here. So I'm going to select this text and I'm going to duplicate. I've already copied the text I want to use here, so I'm going to edit and then paste inside. So lastly, I want to put the logo on this frame. So we have a logo over here, and I'm going to click and then drag here. So now I'm going to resize the logo. So let me quickly align and then make sure it is 20 pixels spacing from the top. Okay, so I'll turn off the columns layout now so we can see what we have done. Okay, so this is what we have now. I'm going to quickly create a contrast between the contents we have in the design and the background. So I'm going to select the background now and try to give it a darker color. Okay. All right. Now that we are done with this, let's quickly preview what we have done. So select the name of the artboard and then go to the present icon. So this is the result of what we have designed. Now let's go back to create two more pages so we can link between all of the pages. Now I'm going to duplicate this frame we have already by going to edit, duplicate. Okay, so now on this page, I'm going to make sure that the content of this page will come from when users click on any of the three boxes that we have over here. So if they click on students, they will be able to see the list of students that the website application has. And if they click on instructors, they will be able to see the list of instructors. And if they also click on courses, they will see the list of courses. So that's what we want to do now. Now I'm going to remove the icons we have here now. I'll select all the icons, then remove it. Also, I'm going to quickly change the name of this frame and then I'll call it students. All right. Then I'll change the text we have here to students as the title of the page. All right. Then I'm going to also bring in our students, the pictures that we have down here. So I'm going to move it up so we can quickly make use of it. All right. So now I'll select our first student, then drag and drop here. So I'll resize to fit within the rectangle that we have created. Okay. So I'll also resize very well because we are going to put the name of our student. So let me send to back to reveal the text. Now, the next thing I want to do is to change this stroke rectangle that we have to a fill color. So on the properties sidebar, I'm going to remove the stroke and I'm going to add fill color. So I'll change the fill color to white. I'm also going to write the name of our student, but I'll change the color of the text first so we can see clearly when we move to the bright side. So I'm going to give it something dark, then I'll drag down a little bit, and then I'm going to call it John Doe. And also I'll change the font type from here to CC Common, and then I'll set it to black, and I'm going to increase it a little bit. Okay, so I'll also make sure I align the text to the side of the frame. So I'll make sure that the spacing for the text and the white background is about 20 pixels. So I'll press Shift on the keyboard, then press the front arrow key. Okay, so let me quickly change the font opacity to 100%. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate this by going to Edit, then Duplicate. Okay, and I'll drag down a little bit so I can change the text to beginner. Then I'll also reduce the font weight to regular, and then change the font type. And I'll also change the font size to about 16 or 18. Let's change to 18. Okay, so I'll move it up a little bit. All right, so I'll select both text and then move it up somewhere around here. Let me also make sure that the rectangle we have here is a little bit longer than what we have now. So I'm going to make sure it is something like this. I'll click on the text again, then drag down so I can resize the image. So I'll click on the image now and then resize until I have something like this. So let me resize the background also. And then I'll reposition the text. All right. So now I'm going to also set the corner radius for this picture we have now, but I'm not going to set the corner radius for all of the 4 sides. I'm going to set the corner radius for the top left and the top right only. So now to do that, you can't set the corner radius from here. If you want to choose points to set corner radius, so you have to choose from this option you can see now to set the corner radius individually. Now I'll select the first one and then change to 10. Then also go to the second value and change to 10. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to remove the boxes that I already have here. Then I'll select the picture and the text also. Then I'm going to group all. So I'll right click now, then group selection. Okay, so now that I have it grouped, I'm going to duplicate. But before I duplicate this layer now, I'm going to turn on the columns layout so I can see where to position the item. So now I'm going to select again and then go to Edit, Duplicate to duplicate the layer. Then I'll move it to the right side to position very well. Okay. So I'm also going to duplicate one more time to position on the right side also. So now I'm going to turn off the columns layout. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to quickly change the picture that we have here. Now, to make sure that the picture is replaced quickly, I'm not going to choose from the 2 pictures we have here. I can always drag and drop the picture down here, but we'll have to start adjusting the settings again. So what I'm going to do is to use another method to replace this picture. So now that I have the image selected, I'll come to the properties sidebar on the right. Then on the fill section, I'll click on the image, and then I'm going to choose another image from my desktop. So I'll go right now to choose one of our students again. Then I'll select the third one, then go to the fill section and click on image. to choose another image. So I'm going to quickly change the text title that we have here. So I'll select and then make sure that it is left aligned, and also make sure that the beginner I have here is also left aligned. Okay, so I'm going to change this to Janet. And I'm also going to change, I'll press escape now, then select the beginner text and change to intermediate. I'll press escape. So I'm also going to change the text I have over here to Jonah, but I'll make sure it is left aligned first and then click to edit. Also, I'm going to leave the other text as it is. So this is the result that we have now. I'm going to select the 3 items, then move up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to increase the font size of the text we have here, but make sure I change it to auto width, then increase the font size a little bit to about 68. Okay, so I'll bring it down a little bit. Now, next thing I want to quickly do is to create the third frame. The third frame is where we are going to have the information of each of the students we have within the students frame displayed. So we are going to also do this for instructors and courses. Now, let's duplicate this frame now by selecting the name of the frame, then go to edit and then duplicate. All right. So now what I want to do is to quickly create a side box around here, so that when users click on one of the 3 profiles you can see over here, they will be presented with the brief information about the user. So what we are going to do now is to go to the tool section again, then create a rectangle box on the right side here, but we will have to turn on the columns layout to make sure that it is well positioned. So now I'm going to turn on the layout again and then make sure that the rectangle that we have here is occupying 4 columns from the right. So if I count now, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll click the rectangle again, then I'm going to drag and make sure that it is positioned well. So I'll select the name of the frame again and I'm going to turn off the columns layout. All right, so first thing I want to do is to change the color of this rectangle to white. So now that I have the rectangle set to white color, I want to quickly create shadow for this white background. So I'll go to the bright properties sidebar and then click on effect, then set the drop shadow settings and make sure that the X position is on the negative side. So the negative means the shadow will fall to the left. Positive means shadow will fall to the right. And for the Y value, I'm going to set it to 0 because I don't want the shadow to go up or down. I want the shadow to fall to the left so that it can be seen easily. So now I'm going to set the shadow to a negative value of 40. Also, I'm going to set the blur value to about 60. Then I'll set the Y position to 0 and then increase the transparency for the shadow color to about 55. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'm still going to make adjustments, but for now let's leave it this way. So now the next thing I want to do is to position the brief detail of the user that is going to be displayed here. So next thing I want to do is to create the information that is going to be displayed here, which is the brief detail of our user. So I'm going to select one of the users and then copy the picture and then paste over here by pressing Shift Command V on the keyboard or Shift Ctrl V on Windows keyboard. So right now I'm going to drag to make sure it fills the width of this rectangle. So I'm also going to copy over the name of this student and then paste on the rectangle that we have just created. Okay, so I'm going to send to front. Okay, and then I'm going to push down to reposition properly. Okay, so now I have 30 pixel spacing on the left, and I want to have 30 pixel spacing from the top, and I'm going to increase the font size to about 38. Okay, I'll also copy the other text here and then paste also. So I'll increase the font size also to about 24. Okay, so I'm going to quickly copy the text we have here to use over here as the demo text to represent what it's going to look like. So I'm going to paste now. So let me also change the color by using the dark color that we've been using earlier. So let me pick from the black color we have here, and then for this text I'm going to fade it up a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to reposition this text and then align to left. So I'm going to increase the font size a little bit to 22. Okay, so now this is what we have, and we want to make sure that once our users click on each of these profiles, they are presented with the details that you can see here right now. Let me quickly make adjustments to what we already have here to remove a column and make sure that it is not as wide as this. So I'll quickly go back to turn on the columns layout and then select each of the elements and make sure it is occupying 3 columns rather than the 4 columns we already have. So I'm going to reduce this text also, and then I'm going to resize. So right now I can turn off the columns layout. Okay, so now let's preview what we have, and then we are going to quickly link the pages together. So if I click on the name of this frame now and then click on present, so this is what it looks like. And also if I also click on the name of this frame, then click on present, now this is what we have. So we are going to link all of the pages together now. So to link pages together, you have to go to another tab, which is prototype, and not the design tab anymore. So we are going to click on prototype. Now we are going to link this button and make sure that it takes us to this page, so that once users click on students, they will see the students page. So that's the first thing we want to link now. So I'm going to select the icon, the text, and then the background stroke and group all together. Group selection. Okay. So before we start linking between pages, we want to make sure that the names of the frames are well set. So we already have the name of this frame to be welcome, and then the name of this frame as student. Then we want to make sure that the last frame is set as student info. Okay, so these are the 3 frames that we need right now. All right, so now I'm going to click on this student box and then add the interaction for navigating to the student page. All right, so the interaction we are going to have is click, and then we want to make sure that once users click, the student's page is opened as an overlay on this welcome page that we have here. We don't want to navigate to the page. We want to open as an overlay. Then we want to also make sure that the page that is being displayed is students. Okay. We also want to make sure that when users click on one of the profile pictures of our students, it displays the brief information about the students. So now that we have the profile picture selected, we are going to also add the interaction and then set it to on click, then set to open overlay, and then set the page to open as overlay to be student info. Okay, so that's the student info that will be overlaid on this page. And we want to also make sure that the overlay animation is dissolved, and we are going to change the time to about 50 milliseconds. Enter. So that's the time we want the info to be displayed. That's the delay it will take the info to be displayed on this page. So now we are going to preview what we have by starting from this page. Okay, and then we are going to present our design. All right, so now if I click on students, this is what we have. And then if I also click on Jonado as a student, then we are going to see the brief information about Jonado. Okay, now there are some few things that are missing on this design. So now that we are on this page, we want to navigate back to the welcome page, but there's no back button and there's no close button for this overlay. So let's quickly create a back button and a close button. And also we want our users to be able to navigate the list of students we have in case we have more than 3 students. So let's quickly add it. All right, the first thing we want to add is the back button. So what I want to do now is to quickly create a back button for this page. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool, then draw a rectangle around here. Okay, and I'm going to press escape on the keyboard, then quickly use the pen tool to draw the back icon. Okay, so I'll press escape, then click on done. Okay, so let me adjust it a little bit. All right, so this is perfect now, and I'm going to go back to the design tab and then quickly increase the size of the back button to 2. Okay, then I'm going to write the back text. So I'll press escape now, and then I'm going to reposition. Okay, so I'll select the background for the back button and then readjust the size. I'm also going to change the color to white and then set the corner radius to be 100. So I'm going to select to quickly position very well. So now I'm going to select both and then make sure it is well aligned, and then I'm going to drag to center within the box we have here. Okay, so let me also make sure that, so I'm also going to make sure I reduce the height of this background to about 40. Okay, so let me reposition again. Okay, all right, now that we have this, let me quickly resize this icon to make sure that the width is about 8 and then the height is about 15. All right, so let's set it to 16. All right, so now that we have the back button, I'm going to also duplicate this back button now by selecting the text and the background. Then I'll copy and the background, and then I'll copy and then paste on this frame. So I'll make sure it is well aligned with our logo. So I'll make sure it is well aligned with the logo. Okay, so let me turn on the columns layout to make sure it is well aligned. Okay, so now that I have the button aligned, I'm also going to create the navigation button for the students. So I'm going to select the icon we have created here, copy, then paste down here. So I'll click, then drag to reposition somewhere around here. Then I'm going to change the color to white. Okay. So now I'm going to duplicate this by going to edit, duplicate, and I'm going to rotate by 180 degrees. Okay. So I'm going to move it around here, just this spacing, and then select both and make sure it is center aligned. Group the selection and then make sure it is center aligned. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that it is also 50 pixels spacing from what we already have. Okay, all right, so now we have 50 pixels spacing. So I'll also duplicate this selection now, then go to our student info, turn off the columns, and then paste here also. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is to link the buttons together. So now I'll select the students frame, then go to the prototyping section, then make sure that the back button is selected. So now when users click the back button, we want to add the interaction for what happens. So once they click on the back button, the overlay that we opened earlier is going to be closed. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing for the back button that we have here too, so that when they click the back button, the overlay that we have created earlier is going to be closed. Then let us quickly add the close button for the student information that we have here. So I'll go back to the design, then I'll click on the rectangle tool, the drop down arrow, and click on ellipse. Then we can quickly draw a circle around here. So I'll make sure that the circle is about 55 in width and then 55 in height to make a perfect circle. Then I'm going to change the fill color to white also. And then I'm going to quickly draw the close icon that we are going to use. So I'll select the pen tool now, and then I'll draw the close icon. Okay, I'll press escape. Then I'm going to draw the second icon also. Okay, so I'll press escape now. Then I'm going to click done so I can adjust the button very well. Okay, so like something like this. And I'm going to increase the width to 3. So I'll reposition very well now. Okay, so this is what the close button looks like. So now I'm going to go back to the prototyping section, then make sure that the click action that we have for this button is close overlay. So I'll add the interaction and then make sure that the click action is close overlay also. So let's quickly preview what we have by going to the first frame and then click on present. If I click on the student box now, the list of the students that we have is displayed. And then if I click on back, it takes us back. So now if I go forward again to click on one of the students that we have, you are going to see the brief information about the student. So once you are done reading the brief information about the student, then we can click close. Okay, so now we can go back to our welcome page and you can see that all of the pages are well linked exactly the way we want it. Okay, so we have come to the end of the class today. So for the assignments, you are going to be creating 2 other pages below the student's page, and then you are going to be creating 2 other pages below the student's info page, and then call it instructors and courses. Okay, so now you are going to create another page where the information about one of the instructors is going to be displayed just like this. And then you are going to also create another page for courses where one of the courses is going to be displayed briefly on the right side. By next class, we are going to be reviewing all that we have done in the Figma class. And also, you are going to be given a project that will help you to also deal with a real world UI UX design in Figma. It will help you to build your confidence and also help you to understand detailed usage of Figma. So thank you and thank you. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to also like this video and then comment below it. Thanks.